And so what's really interesting that they found that there are a set of common characteristics in the people who reliably get better in their own field, or the experts in the field.
Yeah.
So very briefly, there are 5 common factors in deliberate practice, and this is something that would be repeated across a lifetime. It never ends. You know, there's never a ceiling in expertise. You always can get better in a sense.
Yeah.
The first is that you have to observe your own performance. So actually, if you don't watch your own performance, it's very hard to get accurate feedback and get better over time.
Yeah.
I have a parallel life as a musician and had many years of formal music training.
Yeah.
And one thing that was really not recommended, like necessary, was that you recorded yourself.
Yeah.
So that you could have very accurate feedback based on that observed performance.
Yeah.
In our case, specifically in psychotherapy, someone has to watch you perform, be it in a role play setting or in a videotaped, audio taped clinical setting.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, so observing performance.
Yeah.
The second factor of deliberate practice would be to get the expert feedback. So someone helps you to find in that observed performance, you know, where should we tweak it? Where do you think you could get better? What's your growth edge? And really focus on that.
Yeah.
And then when you focus on it, you go to step 3, which is you have small learning goals. So you really try to find what should we focus on to get better reliably over time.
Yeah.
In our field, we love these big constructs like the therapeutic relationship.
Yeah.
But actually, if you're trying to get a better therapeutic relationship, there are so many micro skills involved that those are the micro skills we want to look at.
Yeah.
It's not so useful to say, let's train the relationship.
No.
You know, it's almost undoable or completely undoable. The fourth thing, after establishing small learning goals, is that you want to do some behavioral rehearsal.
Yeah.
So actually repeatedly try with the same stimuli or exercise to actually do it a lot of times, just to get it into procedural memory, procedural learning, not just know about the skill, but actually be able to perform it. You know, easier and easier with time. And the fifth is you have to assess performance. Like, is this working? Are you actually reliably getting better? If yes, let's do more of that. If not, let's tailor it. The tailoring piece is also an important part of deliberate practice. So those are the 5 components of deliberate practice.
Erickson studied the areas of expertise that to me seem more concrete than psychotherapy, right? Psychotherapy is highly, highly complex. Tons of variables going on. Do you think?
Glad you noticed.
Yeah. Thank you. So, do you think therapy is decomposable into like so concrete components that we can rehearse? Isn't it too simplistic in a way?
Yeah. Well, the short answer is yes. I think it can be decomposable. Although I do agree that we are very early on as a field, both in terms of research in general and also how to better train therapists. But I do think that to actually focus on very concrete interpersonal and intrapersonal skills can be done, and it's very useful. And now we're talking about this distinction, that's important, the inter and the intra. Maybe I can say just a bit more about that.
That's good.
I think that as a field we focused a lot, some models on one thing, some models more on the other. But we've been finding that amazingly therapists have feelings. And so actually these feelings get triggered also in session. And so a lot of times therapists might be able to know what they should be doing technically, the interpersonal part, like how to do a certain technique, but they might not have the actual capacity or presence or whatever you want to call it, tolerance to actually go through with it. And this goes all the way from psychodynamic therapies to behavioral therapies when you're doing like exposure therapy.
So it's like knowing more technique that we have capacity to apply?
So so there's the part of the inter that you can train and the intra that you can train. And we've been developing a lot of different, very concrete exercises for each of these.
Cool.
Shame is a huge thing in our field. And actually the model of training we've been having for decades, maybe a century now, is a competency model where we kind of ask our trainees to show us their best work and they have to prove that they can do X, Y, and Z. There's nothing wrong with competency, but the problem is that it creates a whole lot of pressure on the part of the trainee, and it doesn't give them a lot of space to try out and experiment the skill and fail. Fail again, fail better, as Samuel Beckett said. And I think that the ability to fail in a safe environment, in a non-shaming environment, is totally a requirement for ongoing development, professional and personal development. as a field, I don't think we've done a great job at that. I think the little practice, the way it's created, actually puts everyone kind of on the same playing field. Like some people might have some more expertise than others, but we can all get better and find areas where we can grow. And I think it's super important to validate each of our, growth edges. And some things that are, very touchy for me might not be for you. You're working with certain topics, but the other way around as well. So, if you want to implement the little practice on yourself and with your trainees, you have to be like a very, I think, compassionate, validating, normalizing human. So one metaphor that I think is useful about it is when you think in sports, for example, no one shames anyone for having sweat after doing a practice, after practicing. Our sweat, the thing we pay and that happens in us as we're trying out skills in the little practice for psychotherapy, are complex emotions. We feel self-critical, we feel shameful. So unfortunately, we have a harder job in that sense than some other areas. Although in other areas, of course, you can feel self-critical. But here we're kind of looking directly at it. If you're being honest and actually observing performance, actually getting feedback, everyone has a growth edge. Even the best therapists have dropouts. I know that no one talks about it because in conferences everyone shows their best tape, and I'm guilty of that for sure. But actually, like, all of us have a lot of difficulties, which is normal. Like you were saying, it's a very complex profession, and actually the bigger part of outcome variance is on part of the client. It's not up to us.
No, that's true.
But we can work on a lot of internal muscles and interpersonal muscles.
We have invited you to Norway to have a workshop to share deliberate practice with Norwegian therapists and hopefully get people started with their own practices. We're going to announce the registration soon, but we know now it's in the early March at our clinic in Oslo. Can you say a little bit about what we are going to do there?
I think the basic pitch is that it's going to be very practical. So I want to really give the most tools possible to people to either do the little practice on themselves, with themselves, or with peers, or with their trainees. And we're going to be focusing on specific exercises that are very flexible. You can take them and creatively change them up. But we're going to show the little practice exercises for both interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills, and also give some key principles on how the little practice works, namely, for example, skills on how to tailor the specific exercise to the specific person. Because we know from the research that that's how people learn. If an exercise is too easy, people get bored, they don't learn anything new. If it's too hard, they feel overwhelmed, they don't learn anything new.
That's true.
So this is a skill that most supervisors don't have because this has not been in our field. I'm not shaming supervisors because actually this is all very new to all of us, right? So I think that's the basic emphasis of this workshop. Very practical tools to use the little practice and implement it.
Nice. So it's a good getting started workshop then.
It's a great introductory workshop, I think, for you to get started.
Cool. So that's about it, Alex. I have no more questions for you at this stage. But it's been good talking to you and very nice meeting you. And I look so much forward to your workship.
Me too.
It's
Thank you so much.
It's going to be sweet.
Thanks.